All right, you guys. So for this one, I want us to talk about how to glow up. And then I want you to think about this. I'm not looking at it in terms of just the exterior, what you look like on the outside. The idea behind glowing up per se, right? Is I want you to think about the all right, let me rewind. Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about how to glow up. And I don't mean it in simply the purposes of vanity, right? The way you look, although that does matter. There are things more important than just what's on the surface. So I think I'm gonna look at this as like, what would I have needed most? What would I have needed someone to tell me that I needed most? And I hope that that would help you get what you need to get out of this. The first one is and think about, okay, what is it that what's the reason that you need to glow up? What is it that you're missing? What is it that you need? What is it that you're looking forward to most? Um, I think one of the things that got me to want to do this, right, to make these changes was I was just tired of feeling like crap, you know? I just I didn't like the way I felt. I didn't like my mood. I didn't like my energy. I didn't like anything about my circumstances. So I was like, all right, it's time to shake things up. Whatever I'm doing is obviously not working. So the first one I'm going to talk about is meditation movement. Right? It's just my fancy way of saying get out there, work out, move your body. Don't just sit there. Don't just lay down. Don't just sleep. Put yourself out there. Go exercise. I'm a big proponent of calisthenics. So if I'm gonna tell you to do one thing, if you're gonna say, "Well, I don't have enough money for the gym," big deal. You could always go to the park. You can always get a workout in outside. There's no excuses. All right. And I think once you start to realize the importance of working out, it's not just from the perspective of like, oh, you're gonna look better, although for sure you will. You're obviously gonna feel better, right? Feel better, look better, feel better. And the thing with that is that, man, how can I put this? It's like anybody who's consistently worked out will tell you that they're not doing it simply for the purposes of how they look, right? It's more about how you feel. And without a doubt, like um, all that suffering, all those workouts, you're definitely not gonna be motivated for most of them. I definitely am never motivated for most of the workouts. So I would say that it goes beyond just the way you look and more so about how you feel. And I think once you dial in on that part, you'll be set. And there's one thing that my father told me that I would never forget when it comes to working out, because I used to be a lazy bastard, right? This guy would tell me, he's like, if you could eat every day, you can move every day. And after that, it was just like, it made total sense to me, the whole idea. And it just like flipped the switch. My mindset changed. I never had trouble working out again, especially on the days where I didn't want to go. Those were the days that I especially would force myself to go because I'm like, well, look, I ate, I can move. And like I said, you don't got to be hard on yourself, even if it's a 15-minute workout, 10 minutes, whatever. The point is you just get out there and do it every single day. All right. So that's the first one. The second one is to callous the mind. So what I mean by that, I think I've heard maybe Goggins say something about like callousing the mind and whatnot. That might have been where I got the idea from. But the point of that whole fancy term is I want you to think about the fact that like you gotta have principles, you gotta have a foundation, you gotta stand for something. Otherwise, you just get pushed over. And I think one of the most important things that I realized is that even if I'm wrong per se, right? Let's just say hypothetically speaking, I'm wrong. I'm okay with being wrong. I'm okay with making mistakes. Um, One of the things that I realized is that like whenever I get into disagreements with people or whenever I'm just out there, I stick to my guns. Like I don't feel the need to have to like people please. I'm okay with being the odd man out. Um, that's just par for the course. I mean, you're gonna end up going butting heads with people, right? Because it's like if you're flexing ideas that, and especially ideas that people don't necessarily agree with or understand or or are in alignment with, then you're gonna have some trouble, right? So just keep that in mind. But I think it's so important to be able to stand on your own ground. Like don't just capitulate to other people's demands or opinions. It's just something that's so important. And as a man, it's so fundamental to who you are. Is like, can you stand on your own 2 feet? You know, don't just pivot and change your mind just because you're trying to appease. It just won't work out with for yourself. I don't think that that's the route I want anybody to take. being a pushover is just there's nothing sexy about it. So I would just encourage you to don't do that. And the only way you can stand on your own 2 feet when it comes to the ideas that you have is that you read, right? You read, you experience the world, and you engage with the world, and you experiment, and you go through these thought processes. You see what works, see what doesn't work, and then you adapt from there. So it's not just like, all right, I'm gonna read and then I'm gonna stay locked inside. And it's the idea that you're gonna read and you're gonna experiment. You're gonna take those ideas and you're gonna take them into the outside world, and then you're gonna see what works for you. Yeah, it's a very simple formula, right? Otherwise, you end up just being a bookworm. You have all these fancy ideas, but you can't execute on anything, right? Because you're not taking it outside of yourself. And then the other thing I would say is to get lost. And what I mean by get lost is like the way to find yourself is to literally put yourself in situations that you don't know the outcomes to, right? So if you're just like afraid of the world, it's not gonna bode well for you. So like one of the things that I remember doing when I was younger was that I was just scared. I was scared to engage. I was just, yeah, I don't know what it was. It was just like a paralyzing fear of what was gonna happen on the outside. And then, I think eventually when I started traveling alone and I started realizing the benefits of being able to do such a thing, and that gave me the courage to just be out there in the world, right? And don't hesitate. Obviously in the beginning it's going to be very scary, but it's not something that you can't overcome. So I would say that's like my last word of advice. Like I said, this is ultimately like what I would have told myself when I needed it most, right? What things did I need to hear from someone to tell me like this is how you're gonna change your life and make yourself better? And like I said, the way you look, the physical appearance, yeah, that stuff comes with it, but that's not the most important piece, right? The most important thing is like what internally, how are you, right? How are you feeling? How do you come off? And you just realize like things after that just kind of go into, I almost feel like things kind of just synchronize after that. And yeah, a lot of it is like, I think to myself, like, it's a slow process, it's not nothing that happened very quickly. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel stuck sometimes explaining because it's so difficult, because it's like the only way I realized like the differences I had made, the changes I had made, was that I saw pictures of myself and I was like, oh my gosh, like, and then I started thinking like, what was I like? And then I didn't realize it was just like a slow sort of grind. All right. So part of it is that too, like this whole 7-day, 10-day thing, like people post and stuff. I would say, forget all that. You got to understand that this is like, the work takes time. All right. It takes energy. It takes discipline. If things don't work out for you in the beginning, that doesn't mean just go ahead and stop. It's not working. It's like, nah, like this is a path. This is a journey. So enjoy it. All right. Enjoy it. Have some fun. There will be some slip ups along the way. But stay focused, stay humble, stay appreciative, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right.